In Oketiti village, nestled deep within the heart of West Africa, there lived a young boy named Dagu. Life had been cruel to him, an orphan since birth. He was left to the mercy of his uncle and aunt, who treated him with coldness that chilled his heart. His days were filled with harsh words and stinging hands, and his nights with the bitterness of solitude. The villagers too turned a blind eye, indifferent to the suffering of a child in their midst. As a result, Dagu withdrew from the world, finding solace only in the company of the trees and the whispers of the wind. The forest became his refuge, a place where he could escape the cruelty of the world. But even in the forest, Dagu's life was marked by hardship. He had never tasted the sweet flavor of meat, a luxury that had always been beyond his reach. One fateful day, while wandering through the woods, Dagu stumbled upon a grass cutter, its small body trembling with pain from a hunter's wound. The sight of the suffering animal filled Dagu with pity, and he knelt beside it, trying to comfort it in its final moment. But despite his effort, the grass cutter died. Dagu waited, hoping the hunter would come for his prey, but no one came. In that moment, something changed in Dagu. The death of the grass cutter sparked a fire in his heart. He took the animal back to his small hut where he lived, prepared the meat, and tasted for the first time the flavor that had always eluded him. As he ate, he made a vow he would become a hunter. No longer would he be at the mercy of others. He would take control of his destiny. Months passed, and Dagu's skill as a hunter grew. His life, once filled with emptiness, now had a purpose. He built a small hut for himself on the outskirts of the village, away from the cold eyes of his uncle and aunt. His hunts were successful, and soon people from neighboring villages began to seek him out, eager to buy the game he caught. Dagu's name became known, and with it, his heart began to heal. But amidst the newfound success, something else began to stir in Dagu's heart, something unexpected. A young woman named Geke, who often accompanied her father to buy meat from Dagu, began to visit more frequently. Her presence brought a warmth to Dagu's life that he had never known. Her laughter, her smile, they became the light in his dark world. One day, unable to keep his feelings hidden any longer, Dagu asked Geke to speak with him privately. They met under the shadow of a large tree, its branches swaying gently in the wind. With a trembling voice, Dagu confessed his feelings. He told her how much her visit meant to him, how her presence brought him peace and joy like nothing else. But Geke remained silent, her eyes downcast. Her silence was deafening, and as she turned to leave, Dagu's heart broke. For days, Dagu was consumed by his thoughts, unable to eat or sleep. His heart ached with the weight of Geke's silence, and his body grew weaker with each passing day. The villagers who had come to rely on him for meat found his hut empty. Concerned, Geke's father visited Dagu and found him lying on his bed, pale and feverish. He urged Dagu to take care of himself, reminding him that he was old enough to marry and needed someone to care for him. But Dagu's thoughts were far away, lost in the memory of Geke's silent departure. As night fell on the third day, a soft voice called out from outside Dagu's hut. It was Geke. Dagu, weak and disoriented, could hardly believe his ears. He managed to respond, and Geke stepped inside. Dagu's heart swelled with emotion. "Why have you come?" Dagu asked, his voice barely a whisper. "My mother sent me," Geke replied, her voice gentle. "She was worried about you after hearing from my father." Dagu could hardly contain his gratitude as he devoured the meal. Feeling strength returned to his body with every bite. But more than the food, it was Geke's presence that healed him. She stayed by his side, watching over him as he ate, and for the first time in days, Dagu felt hope. Dagu's heart ached with a mixture of gratitude and longing. As he finished his meal, he looked at Geke, his eyes filled with emotion. "I owe you more than words can express," he said, "but I cannot let you leave empty-handed. Please wait here." With newfound energy, Dagu grabbed his hunting tools and ventured into the forest. He prayed to the gods for success, determined to offer Geke something special in return for her kindness. As if guided by a higher power, Dagu soon spotted an antelope grazing in the distance. He aimed carefully, but the antelope fled. Driven by love and determination, Dagu pursued the animal, unaware it had led him into a part of the forest shrouded in dark legend, a place feared by all. This was no ordinary forest. It was the evil forest, a place where the spirits of the lost and the forsaken were said to dwell. The people of the four surrounding towns, Oketiti, Nnewi, Ifee, Nobi, and Amity had long avoided it, believing it to be cursed. It was there that the unwanted, the abominable, the sick, and twins were abandoned, left to the mercy of the spirit. Yet, Dagu, driven by a love that knew no bounds, followed the antelope deep into the heart of this evil forest. The trees towered above him. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay, but Dagu pressed on, his mind focused on the hunt. Moments later, he emerged from the forest, the antelope slung over his shoulder. He had succeeded, and the danger of the evil forest seemed like a distant memory. Rushing back to his hut, he found Geke sweeping the compound, her presence bringing warmth to the moment. "You shouldn't have bothered," Dagu said, his voice filled with gratitude. "I am well enough now to take care of myself." Geke smiled, her eyes bright with joy as he saw the antelope. "You hunted this for me?" "Yes," Dagu replied, his heart swelling with pride. "It is a small gift for a guest who has brought me back to life." As Dagu prepared to escort Geke home, he marveled at how she had transformed his life in a short time. She had swept and scrubbed his hut, filling it with a warmth he had never known. As they walked together, Dagu felt a deep sense of contentment, but also a lingering unease. The evil forest was no place for a hunter, yet something had drawn him there, something he couldn't quite explain. The next day, Geke's father came to thank Dagu for the antelope, which had been used to welcome their in-laws. Geke accompanied him, bringing more food for Dagu. But as her father spoke, Dagu's attention was fixed on Geke. With sign language, they agreed to meet tomorrow, as she had something important to tell him, and Dagu's heart raced with anticipation. Geke came the next day to tell Dagu about her suitor named Dan. She explained how her father was pushing her to accept the marriage, emphasizing Dan's wealth and the prestige that would come with the union. Despite her father's pressure, Geke's heart was torn. She had feelings for Dagu, but the weight of her father's expectation was heavy. "What about me?" Dagu asked, his voice breaking with emotion. "Give me some time," she pleaded, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "I need to think about it. I am under serious pressure." Dagu's heart sank, but he respected her decision. He knew the path ahead would not be easy, especially with the shadow of Dan looming over them. Geke's father, driven by his desire for wealth and status, continued to press her, making life increasingly difficult. Geke felt trapped, oppressed by her father's demands. Yet, she found solace in her mother, who stood by her side throughout the ordeal. Her mother, understanding the depth of Geke's love for Dagu, offered her quiet support, urging her to follow her heart. It was this maternal encouragement that gave Geke the strength to defy the pressure from her father. After much contemplation, Geke made her choice. She would marry Dagu, the man she truly loved, regardless of his status and the consequences. Their wedding was simple, a far cry from the grand affair her father had envisioned with Dan, but it was filled with love and sincerity. The villagers, though surprised by Geke's choice, came to witness the union. However, as time passed, their happiness was marred by the harsh reality. Geke couldn't conceive. Despite trying every available treatment, all effort proved fruitless. 5 years into their marriage, they remained childless. The villagers began to gossip, claiming Dagu had angered the gods by marrying too young. The couple endured the scorn and the mockery, but their love never wavered. In the face of adversity, Dagu and Geke remained steadfast, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. One day, Dagu went hunting into the evil forest. He stumbled upon a small bundle at the base of an ancient iroko tree. As he approached, he realized it was a baby girl, abandoned and alone. The sight of the child, with her tiny fist clenched and her face scrunched in protest, struck Dagu to his core. The baby had a strange mark on her shoulder, a swelling pattern that seemed almost otherworldly. Dagu knew the old stories. Such marks were rare and often associated with destiny. He realized the child might be a twin, cast out by parents who feared the curse of twin births. It was a cruel tradition, and one that had persisted for generations. Without hesitation, Dagu took the child in his arms and carried her home. When Geke saw the child, her heart melted. She had longed for a baby of her own, and here was a child who needed love as much as they needed her. They named her Ifee, meaning light, for she had brought a new brightness into their life. As Ifee grew older, the people of Oketiti, where Dagu lived, began to notice the strange mark on her shoulder. It was a symbol that had no clear meaning to those in the village, yet it sparked fear and curiosity alike. Gossip spread quickly through the village, and soon suspicions arose. Some believed she was cursed, others thought she might be a spirit child, but none dared to confront Dagu directly. By this time, Dagu Dago was a respected hunter, a man whose word was law in his household, and few dared to question him openly. Despite the rumors, the presence of Ifee in Dago's family brought an everlasting joy. Geke conceived and bore a son. The joy of the family knew no bound. Eventually, Dago's household was blessed with 4 more children, and Geke was finally at peace, having overcome the years of childlessness. However, Ifee, being the eldest, could not escape the glances and murmurs that followed her wherever she went. She often found herself staring at her reflection in the river, tracing the mark on her shoulder, wondering what it meant. The mystery of her birth haunted her, and she felt different, set apart from her siblings. The sense of isolation weighed heavily on her heart. As the years passed, Ifee blossomed into a beautiful young woman with a strength and grace that belied her tall stature. She had inherited Dago's skill with a bow, and her knowledge of the forest was unmatched among the youth. Yet, the feeling of incompleteness persisted, a void that no amount of hunting or exploring could fill. And among all the forest, the evil forest was her favorite. One day, while wandering through the dense forest, Ifee stumbled upon a young man named Opi. He was tall, with a strong body build, and an eyes that seems to hold secrets of their own. Their meeting seemed like fate when Ifee, tracking a wounded deer, found herself face to face with Opi, who had appeared out of nowhere to help her. There was an instant connection between them, a pull that neither could explain. As they talked, Ifee had a strange sense of familiarity, as though she had known him all her life. Opi, from the neighboring town of Amici, bore a peculiar mark on his shoulder, a mark identical to hers. This discovery deepened their bond, drawing them closer with each encounter. They began to meet regularly in the evil forest, sharing stories of their lives and dreams. With each passing day, their bond grew stronger, and they fell deeply in love. However, the mystery of the identical marks loomed over them, raising questions neither could ignore. When Ifee finally revealed her love for Opi to Dago, his face darkened with concern. He was concerned of Opi's mark, and its similarities were too great to be a coincidence. A gnawing fear crept into his heart, the fear that Ifee and Opi might share more than just their marks. Driven by a need to protect his daughter, Dago decided to investigate Opi's past. His quest took him to Amici, where he sought out the elders and asked about Opi's origin. The story he uncovered sent shivers down his spine. Opi was a twin, and his twin sister was thrown into the evil forest as a baby. His parents had feared the cause of twins and had left her to die. The elders knew this secret, but couldn't reveal it to Opi because the birth of twins was considered a shameful event. Upon his return to Oketiti, Dago sat Ifee down and told her everything. He explained the ancient traditions, the fate of twins, and the possibility that she and Opi were siblings, twins who had been separated by the cruelty of their people's belief. The revelation was devastating for Ifee. Her love for Opi was pure and deep, yet the possibility that they were related by blood was a burden too great for her to bear. Despite the shocking truth, Ifee and Opi could not bear to be apart. They decided to confront the elders of both towns, demanding answers and challenging traditions that had led to their predicament. The elders listened, their faces turned, for the traditions were ancient and not easily broken. However, the love and the determination of Ifee and Opi moved them, sparkling a debate about whether the old ways should be challenged. Unaware they were blood related. In the end, it was decided that Ifee and Opi would undergo a test of faith. If they could prove their love was stronger than the cause of twins, they would be allowed to marry. The test would push them to the limit of their endurance, taking them deep into the heart of the evil forest to face the spirits that dwelled there. Together, they embarked on that perilous journey. It was filled with trials and challenges, but their love guided them through the darkness. They faced wild beasts, treacherous paths, and the whispers of spirits seeking to lead them astray. But through it all, their bond remained unbroken. At the summit of the tallest mountain, they found the rare flower guarded by the spirit, a symbol of their love and victory over the curse. Holding their hands together and bounding their hearts with love, they pulled the flower. When they returned to the village with the flower in their hands, the elders were astounded. Ifee and Opi had triumphed over the ancient curse, and the old ways could no longer stand in their way. The elders, moved by the couple's determination and love, declared that the ancient tradition will be abolished. Twins will no longer be considered a curse, but a blessing from the gods. Ifee and Opi were married in a grand ceremony, witnessed by all the 4 towns. Their love not only united them, but also changed the fate of their people forever. They become a symbol of hope, courage, and the power of love to break even the oldest chain of tradition. Months later, Ifee gave birth to twins, and the 4 towns gathered to rejoice with the family. If you have followed this tale to this point, kindly give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so that you will know when we publish interesting stories like this.